What's going on, koi fish? Welcome back to the Coy Pond. I'm Colin, your host, you know the mostest. And join with me, as always, K-Dog, Kevin, the Ginger Whiskey, the man himself. We're back again in the same clothes as last week, and you might wonder why. You could.
We didn't do a wash. That's why.
We haven't slept. We've sat here for 7 days straight. No.
Waiting
anxiously for the next release.
To see you lovelies again.
No, we're shooting 2 back-to-back because old buddy here is not going to be available this week when you're watching this. So we shot ahead of time. Just in case you're wondering why it's the exact same clothing.
There you have it.
I solved it for you. Didn't have to conspire. But we're back. Coy Pond episode 38. And this week we'll be going over some of the games this upcoming Sunday.
Games coming up, yeah. So we have last week we talked about the Hall of Fame game, and that game was on the 1st of August. These games will be basically the week after that.
Right.
So this is the first official week of preseason.
Right.
And so I think these are Thursday night games, if I remember right.
They might be. I'm not too sure.
But we start out with the Panthers and...
No, not Giants. Patriots?
Patriots.
Panthers and
Yep.
Patriots.
So
we're kind of going over what to look for, some of the position battles, some things when you're watching these games. If you are, you can kind of look at positionally and see, who might be switching in and out and who's doing better.
Yep. I mean, preseason is always fun if you're really a diehard like we are of football. I mean, this is when the fan favorites emerge.
Right.
You see the player maybe who's a rookie or an undrafted free agent who flashes a play.
Yes.
And I mean, all it takes is a play. And all of a sudden the fan base is the fan favorite.
Right.
This guy may not prove that he can block, may not prove that he can be consistent, but if the fans see that, we always overreact to that excitement.
Oh, yeah. You beg for it again.
Exactly right. So, here we go. Our training camp preview with assists from ESPN.
Yes, shout out ESPN because no one knows who they are.
That's right.
We keep it easy.
It's not the Ocho, it's just ESPN.
Yeah, just ESPN.
But Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, starting out with them. New GM, Dan Morgan, coming to the Panthers after what was an exciting first year for Bryce Young on there. Poor bastard was getting swept around. There was absolutely no help from, it felt like the rest of the team except Adam Thielen. That offensive line is one of the main concerns of this upcoming season. Will they be able to protect him? Will he not be scrambling for miles and miles in the backfield just trying to find an open target that's not there? It seems like they've kind of at least attempted to fix that offensive line. I would say just about anything is better than last year.
Yep.
But they've at least made some moves in order to get them maybe in a much better position that's competitive.
Yep.
That's really all they need to do.
They've definitely added some protection along the front line for him. And again, he just didn't have any time last season because the line just had no talent, very limited talent, inexperienced talent, and he constantly had people in his face. He wasn't getting the time to make the decisions, make the progressions, and all that. So they're definitely going to be better off. For sure.
Yeah, it really takes quite a bit of nothing to make it that bad. And, there's nothing more intimidating, I'm sure, for a rookie quarterback than to just see 5 burly men running at you when you're 5'10 and you're just trying to get the ball out of there. 5'11.
And all you've got is Adam Thielen to throw to.
Yeah, not that there's anything wrong with him, but you'd like to see 2 or 3 people out there.
Maybe a little more help, right?
Yeah, and I don't remember, was it Chuba Hubbard was the running back last year? I don't remember him being a huge help. I don't think he had a terrible season, but
he didn't. But I've had him in fantasy before, and so he's just an enigma. I mean, he has a game of 50 yards and a touchdown, and it's enough to put him back in because there's some consistency. But he's just kind of ick.
Yeah, and that kind of leads into another change they made.
It does. So the draft pick that they had was one that I wanted for the Cowboys, Jonathan Brooks, Texas running back. Has a ACL injury, so whether he'll play at all this season is hard to know right now.
Right.
So it's probably going to be Chuba Hubbard, and it's also going to be Miles Sanders for part of the way.
Yeah.
I don't know that they've really got anything else in the backfield besides that.
Having Miles Sanders in 2024 is kind of impressive.
So
to its own extent, but that's a tough way to go about it. They did, however, pick up Deontay Johnson for this upcoming season, which was good for them.
Yeah.
I remember him having some good plays on the Steelers last year. Sadly, that Steelers offense was nothing to really rave about either.
No.
So maybe, I'm not. The ceiling's high for Deontay Johnson. I just don't know where it's going to be.
Exactly.
As a player on the Panthers.
Yeah, and again, Johnson seems to be one of those guys that just finds a way. He maybe isn't the most explosive guy,
right?
But he gets open. He moves the chains. He'll be dependable for Young, and so I think it's a great addition for them to have.
No doubt.
I don't know if Thielen is back or not. I assume he is.
I would think he is. I didn't hear any news that he wasn't. So stat check us later on that. I really am not sure.
Yeah. So and we might as well mention this too, Austin Corbett. So. He played with the Browns, and this is another guy that they brought in on the offensive line. He was a very solid player at guard.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to play center for the Panthers.
That's kind of what I've read up on. And that's not a bad thing. He seems like he hasn't been hurt much. He hasn't missed many games throughout his career, which is a great thing. Just to have some repertoire with your offensive line as a whole.
Yeah.
That'll go the distance for you.
Give that experience to Bryce Young and help give him that upfront protection, decisions that they need to make and so forth. So,
and I will say, just watching that line in preseason, it's going to be nice because you'll know early on how that's looking based off of, if you have some of these defensive tackles that are second and third strings breaking through often, that doesn't feel like it's going to be a great start for them. But if you see some solidarity between the line, might be a good sign. Might be a step in the right direction compared to a lot of these other defensive lines.
Yep.
We'll have to kind of see.
And you're right. I mean, that's the interesting thing. When you have, when you're not talking about like Tom Brady or people like that, you got a line that hasn't played together. They're going to play them quite a bit in the preseason because they have to gel.
Yeah, they have to figure it out. That's the whole thing with offensive line is when you're new, that first month and a half, it might be a little bit more rough than your stats allude to because you're still learning how to play with the guys around you, especially at center. In his case, that'll be a rough.
So critical.
Yeah. That'll be a rough start, I would imagine, but at least by preseason game 3, you might have a better idea of what to be looking for.
Yep.
Hopefully, an improvement.
Yeah, definitely so.
And then leading into the Panthers, we got the Patriots.
Yep.
That'll be their first game.
Yep, exactly. New coach.
Yeah.
New quarterback.
Yeah. Not Brissett. They have Drake May. Is it Jared Mayo?
Yep.
I think it's
Gerard Mayo.
Gerard Mayo. That's what I meant to say. One of the big questions is, Drake May is not starting, which I think is beautiful. If it was up to me, he wouldn't start for a season or two if you had a veteran quarterback. The Patriots do not. When does he start?
Yeah, good question.
I would say, with how the NFL goes, the best time to start him is when you're losing games.
There you go.
Even if that's week 17, if that's week 6, I don't think there's necessarily too early to do that. I do think you have to wait for a 2 to 3 game streak of Jacoby Brissett losing before you toss him to the Wolves.
Right.
Unless you find time, by some miracle, the Patriots are winning in a game like 35-0 in the fourth quarter, then you can give him some reps there.
Yep.
Probably won't be the situation for the Patriots this year.
I'd say they give it 3 weeks, and if Jacoby Brissett struggles 3 weeks in a row out of the gate, they'll probably take a shot and throw him in there in week 4 and just see, does he have a spark? Does he show a spark to the team? So,
and I don't think it's going to be the worst thing if they play him a whole game and then switch him back for week 4.
Yeah.
But I will say having to lose a few games is going to be key because you don't want the fan base going after him either at the very beginning, where we've seen QBs kind of lose it, where it's like they start the season, they're terrible out of the gate, and then it's a lost hope from there.
Yeah.
You have this uphill battle the rest of the season.
Yep.
And that goes for Mayo too. It's just
that's big.
Their first season without Belichick since 1999.
Ooh.
That is going to be a weird feeling in New England. Was at Gillette Stadium?
That's huge.
His son's not there either. His son's at Washington. Is that State? Wherever the purple one is. I feel like an idiot.
Is that where he went?
Yeah. And I think that's where Bill Belichick will probably be advising the most at the very least.
I saw a thing today too where I don't know if you saw this, but Kyle Shanahan in the offseason when Belichick left the Patriots, he offered him a job doing whatever he wanted for the 49ers.
I thought that was crazy, thinking that he might only be there for a year and then go coach somewhere else. Then he's got basically your keys to the kingdom.
Yeah.
But also it's Bill Belichick. I
Right.
mean, you're almost crazy not to offer him a job somewhere.
I mean, if you need that little bit, especially like somebody like the Niners who are just like this close,
Yes.
Belichick could be the guy that helps you solve some of that equation and put you over the top.
Especially someone that's played against Patrick Mahomes now a few times, and I would assume beat him. I guess Tom Brady left, but I don't know.
Beat him a couple times probably, lost a few times.
Yeah. But yeah, so seeing how Gerard Mayo deals with the Patriots not having Belichick anymore will be very, very interesting.
Going to be huge.
I don't know
It's
how much
crazy.
of that you'll see in the preseason, but at least, upcoming you can start looking for those little things.
Yeah. And they talk about how Gerard Mayo is really a player's coach, relationship based, and so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we know Belichick was kind of the opposite of that, where he didn't really care about the players, knowing he cared about them.
No.
There's a picture, I'll send it to you to put in the thing, but it shows Belichick walking out of the tunnel, and there's a kid. I don't know if you saw
yes.
it. And
Looking for a
Belichick
high-five.
just stares right at him and walks right by him, doesn't high five him. Then somehow they get a picture of that, and he signs the picture and they send it to the kid.
Oh, that's hilarious. Well, it's because he was wearing the other team's jersey, right?
It might be.
If it's the picture I'm thinking of, he later commented saying he was wearing the wrong jersey.
Maybe that's
Which,
it. Yeah.
Kind of stone cold. I mean, I don't blame Belichick, but also it's a kid, so it's just hilarious to see.
Look at the guy, his face, the kid's hand out there. It's just hysterical. And then, however that came about for that picture to get printed, to get in front of Belichick for him to sign it,
And then
send it
ship
to
off.
the kid. That's beautiful.
It's a thing of beauty. The NFL is magical.
The offensive line for the Patriots, I mean, there's a lot in flux there.
Yep.
A lot of new players. Not many. I think the only face coming back, David Andrews, probably. I think the rest is all a bunch of new folks. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that, with a rookie quarterback, at least he's at center.
Right.
So they're going to have that experience in the middle. But
That'll be perfect to watch in preseason, though,
Yeah,
is, again, watching that line. These are two teams with two terrible lines after last year.
I mean, so you got rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, many new players.
Yep.
I mean, again, they're going to have to play as much as they can in the preseason.
And if you're a fan of either of these teams, watching the depth of these two teams is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple stars coming back for the Patriots, but Mac Jones is a backup on the Jaguars now. You don't have to deal with Maction anymore in that sense. Who knows? It's going to be damning to watch, I think. It might be a couple years of rebuild. I think Hunter Henry's still there. I still love seeing him in a Patriots uniform post Tom Brady.
He's a great player, right?
Oh,
Hunter Henry is just a machine.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he to me, he reminds me of Jason Witten.
He could have been.
Because the guy just, I mean, he clicks no matter what. He's the same dude.
He could have been a great tight end.
Ugh.
You know what? He wanted more money on the Patriots.
I know it.
I'll never forget it, and I'll never forgive him.
Suffer. Yeah, because right now, look at what he'd be into, right? So
Think about it. He could have had a great career.
yeah,
Now it'll just be another tight end that was on the Patriots.
so the Chargers, right?
Yeah.
Did you see real quick Harbaugh thing for the Chargers?
Yeah.
Did you see they showed him walking around training camp, high fiving, signing,
Yes.
taking pictures? So
Herbert's been doing more on social media, but all the Chargers fans keep commenting that he looks happier. So it's funny how people immediately after Staley leaves, Herbert got ranked 75th on the top 100 players last year. Might be a little low. I don't know. I don't care. He missed a few games. I get it.
yeah,
But everyone keeps commenting, I'll never forgive Staley for what he did. Derwin James had a season he did. I don't think that defense was built for any sort of success, but that's neither here nor there.
Yep.
I'll rant about that all day. The other game we have is the Giants and the Lions.
yes.
Giants lose Saquon Barkley.
And it came out this week. Basically, the I think through the Hard Knocks series, that the Giants fully expected Saquon to go shop around, find a deal, and then come back and give them the chance to refuse it. And of course, he got a great deal, equal to what he had, if not better, at the Giants with the Eagles.
Yeah.
You upgrade to the Eagles, who are a team in contention. The
Wow.
Giants certainly are not.
Right.
And he just snatches it up, and the Giants and the fan base is all pissed off that how could he do that? How could he just leave? How could he not give us a chance? Well, what had you done for him?
You haven't done anything.
So it's fully understandable. So, but now it's a new day in Giant Land.
It's hilarious. The fact they just let kind of Saquon leave. I don't know who's at fault with that. I have not been watching Hard Knocks. I probably should start watching that and catch up. But it's just hilarious that it's like, I doubt it can be the head coach's problem. It was probably the GM. Maybe it was the owner. I think that owner half the time in that series has been looking down, walking around, just kind of kicking rocks.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a great look for the Giants as an organization, and it's crazy how much content they're just letting fly out to the world. Through Hard Knocks.
Just as we were coming to the studio to record, I was listening to Pat Kerwin on NFL radio in a disturbed Giants fan had called in, and he's like, "What the hell are they thinking?"
Yeah,
You tag him. You're sure he's not happy about it. He's pissed off,
fuck
but he
his
shows up
emotions.
so he doesn't get fined.
Yeah.
But you just let him go and think, oh, just his good old heart. What the hell have you done for him? Nothing.
No.
That he's going to come back and say, hey, I want to come back to this shithole, and go back through the same stuff I've been through. So, should have tagged him. They could have traded him. There's all kinds of ways they could have done it. And they were naive to think,
he owes them nothing.
He owes them nothing.
And the fact, I get the whole good graces thing, but also his career has been talked about in the past, and last year included, as it's getting to that point where you start having a conversation of how much more is he worth.
Right.
He's had some injuries. I like him as a running back a lot. Don't get it twisted. But fuck him, honestly.
Yeah.
I can't blame him for not wanting to go back to the Meadowlands.
Yeah. And so, because it ties in right here, we'll just hit this. But the running back to watch is Eric Gray. And so, his rookie season was a wash. Barely saw action. Didn't see much action in college.
Yeah.
And so that's where you got. He's basically a one-cut wonder at Oklahoma.
Yep.
So now you got that. And by the way, guess where Devin Singletary is with the Giants? And so these guys are going to try to figure out a way to make up for the loss of a pretty awesome back.
Yeah.
So
for sure, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And going into that, they do have the not Odunze. Who is it? Malik Neighbors? Yeah, they got Malik Neighbors this upcoming season. That'll be awesome to see.
That receiver battle, right?
Yeah, between Slayton and Hyatt, that's going to be quite the spectacle. Hyatt, has put on some muscle. He's looking good. Slayton, though, has been their veteran,
Big play guy.
Yeah. He's come out here. He's looked good.
Wandale Robinson. Another big play dude.
Yes.
And now, Malik Neighbors is, he was one of the top two receivers, except for Marvin Harrison Jr. He was the top guy.
Right. And he's going to get every opportunity. It's just going to be interesting to see who gets the lesser of the three positions.
Yeah. So I think they're gonna have a chance to open up some stuff, provided the blocking is there.
Yeah. And this also leads into Daniel Jones.
Yep.
They're giving him opportunities
That's exactly
to not fumble this, essentially. So going forward, seeing if he can live up to the $40 million a year he's getting,
and can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
You're right. It all comes back to him. I don't know what the line looks like. I know they've got some decent players there, but they've got to protect him, or else he's hurt again, and they're another season down the drain waiting on the draft.
Yeah, it'll be quick. It'll be a quick judgment by week 3 or 4, depending on how the ball's getting thrown around. Is this huge deal that Daniel Jones got going to be worth it or not?
Yeah, and one thing to remember is Daniel Jones. With the injuries, will he be running as much? But he has been
he has some
active.
Legs. He has legs on him.
Yeah, and so maybe that's the secret to offsetting Saquon Barkley. If you feel like you're healed up, and maybe the season doesn't start that way, but maybe as they kind of get more comfortable and he settles in, maybe they run more of that kind of stuff, quarterback option things, or quarterback runs of his nature.
I completely agree. It'll be interesting to watch. Some things to look for in the Giants as we move over to the Lions.
Yeah,
they'll be their opponent that first preseason game.
Yeah. Gonna be a big year for the Lions, I think.
Offensively, I keep hearing nothing but good things. I think I've heard a few on social media about, was it Jameson Williams?
Yeah.
They've been saying he's looking really good this year.
Yeah. So they, again, we know they were right there at the end.
Yep.
They had the Niners. They had them. There's just no, it was sickening to me.
Should have been a week 1 repeat for the Super Bowl, Lions versus Chiefs.
Yep.
I would think, it should have been Ravens versus Lions, but, it was Chiefs versus 49ers. Should have been Chiefs versus Lions to some extent. That was a rough way to end the season.
Yeah, definitely
You got to think they'll be hungry coming out.
I sure think they will. And again, Dan Campbell knows how to get people motivated, and he will remind them of how close they were every step of the way in this training camp season.
Yeah, it'll be crazy. I was gonna say something about Dan Campbell, but their video came out where he was doing push-ups with the Lions players already. Maybe already. I'm just gonna disregard that. I might cut this part out, but
well, one of the biggest things is keeping your coordinators.
Yes. Oh
and
my God. The Eagles felt that.
Oh my God. And Ben Johnson, I mean, his name was all over the place in the offseason.
The fact that they both stayed and didn't get swept by another team is incredible.
And Aaron Glenn, I think, did Aaron Glenn ever play for the Chargers? It might have been before your time.
It might have been.
He played for the Jets, and he might have played one season for the Cowboys. But I didn't realize he was the defensive coordinator until I looked down at the sheet. But, I mean, that guy had the big playability as a corner. And clearly, as a coach, I mean, Dan Campbell wouldn't have him coaching defense unless he had, a pretty strong thought on him. And again, I think they did play together at Dallas, actually.
Oh, there you go.
But, they're having your coordinators stick around, both of them.
Oh, yeah.
The continuity for the whole team. I mean, with how long it takes players and coaches to get comfortable anymore, and you put them together, them having this continuity is a big thing.
It's going to come together real nicely. I agree with you. And into that, the Lions started out last year, and it was a problem throughout the entire year. I think they got it together towards the end, but their corner position, it was a real problem. And it looks like they addressed it. I mean, the first 2 draft picks for them were corners. You would think out of the 2 of them, one of them is going to be a star when it's a first round and a second round.
And I'm watching the draft, and you're thinking about who's your closest. And, of course, Dallas went down. We know all that. But still at that point, you're assuming you're where you were kind of at the end of last year. You're in the mix. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, oh, fuck. Because it's like Eagles secondary, Lions secondary, the 2 weakest things for 2 of the main competitors for the Cowboys both got much better, in my opinion. And again, Terry and Arnold from Alabama, and Enos Ratstrake from Shaw from, I forget where it was, but I mean, he was a highly sought after corner.
Yes.
And it's like, damn, they got 2 good ones.
Yeah, they did. And they even signed someone from the Buccaneers. I think it was Carlton Davis III. They re-signed one of their veterans. So now they've got 4 to 5 players for 2 positions. So in the preseason, that's going to be a wonderful thing to watch as a Lions fan, is how well those corners hold up.
Carlton Davis came out of Auburn.
Oh.
And, I mean, I wanted the Cowboys to draft him. I liked how he played. Physical press kind of corner. And again, I saw this again, and I'm like, the rich just get richer. Here we go.
Yes, so on to the next. But should be an interesting thing to watch in that first game. Maybe not against the Panthers, because who knows what real threats they've got.
And who's going to be
But
playing.
maybe that'll even be better, because sometimes you just need a confidence boost.
That's right.
Lord knows the Packers got that versus the Chargers last year, and that's what fucking launched them into the season they ended up having.
Yeah, thanks.
Staley, fuck you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Because you know who season they
I know. I was there for it all.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, baby. And now, that's kind of it for what we got for the Lions, and I guess we've gone through all 4 now, haven't we?
We have all 4. Yeah, the Lions, the Giants, the Panthers, and whoever that other team was. Patriots. Yeah. So that's the next 2 matchups in preseason, and so that covers us for 6 teams.
Yeah.
In our training camp report between last week and this week.
Yeah, quick little tidbits. Again, something may have came out in the meantime. If you're just watching this and this is all new news to you, sorry about it. We did a little ahead of time. But, staying on top of it, look into the NFL season. It should be a blast. I'm excited for it. We got college football before then, which is at least scratch the itch. You know what I mean? Yep. Something to look forward to, especially with the new college football 25 game that came out last couple weeks ago now.
Right on.
So,
Can't wait.
That's all we got.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week on the Coy Pond. Have a great week. Peace.